Shalom, Kahalala, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Kodash. Noble honor to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and salutations to you brothers who push this truth in the four corners, the highways and byways. Again, all praises to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Kodash. It's the brother Yashima here with another video. Hope it's edifying, quick, straight to the point. Yeah, so I'm gonna entitle this video "Do not take the counsel of the Lord's men in vain or to naught." Right? Alright, so even in this time more and more, it is imperative that you gravitate to the words of the men of the Lord. Alright? Understand too that the men of the Lord, they speak not of their own words, but they speak of Yahawashi. Alright, the words of Yahawashi, the words that they are sent with. Alright, this is Sirach chapter 6. Right, and this Sirach is actually a nice book. This is Sirach chapter 6. And verse Salakia, just get out of the cotton field. About to head in on the other. But nevertheless, Sirach chapter 6 and verse 32, it says, "My son, if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught." If you're willing to learn, you're going to be taught. If you're willing to receive, you're going to be taught. Not to be opposing, not to shrugging the shoulder, putting ears away. And hey, this would also apply to you women, when it regards your husband. If you give ear to this man, submit your ears yourself, you will learn. All right? You will learn. So reading back, it says, "My son, if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught. And if thou wilt apply thy mind, thou shalt be prudent." All right? You can be prudent. You will learn. You become wise. You will increase. All right? Let me get, the definition of this word prudent quickly. Prudent. All right. It says, hey, let the AI talk.
Prudent. Adjective. Prudent. Sagacious in adapting means to ends, circumspect in action, or in determining any line of conduct. Synonyms: careful, considerate, discreet, thesaurus, cautious. Antonyms: thesaurus, careless, thesaurus, reckless. It is prudent to consult a physician before beginning any new exercise regimen. Practically wise, judicious, shrewd. Synonyms.
So, you see that? So that is basically to be circumspect. You're aware. You understand? You're not oblivious. You're not arrogant. You know, you have time and place. Okay? So, it says here, Sirach chapter 6 and verse 32, my son, if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught, and if thou wilt apply thy mind, thou shalt be prudent. Alright? Verse 33, it says, if thou love to hear. You see that? This is also why you say, man, this will apply to the women too, because this is something, our wives, our women, they struggle with today. You could hear this from brothers too. The women today, when I say wives, we're talking also about, even though the women of Israel in the whole, all right, they have a hard time listening to these words, to the men of the Lord when they speak. But they only understand power and money. If you ain't got no money, or if you don't have some kind of status, they're not listening to you. If you're not basically with this wicked system, they're not giving ear to you. But nevertheless, first and foremost, the scripture says, unto you, O men, I call, and my voice is unto the children of men. All right? These scriptures are first and foremost to the men. So, that's why it says, my son. But nevertheless, all people make up also the women and children. You need to also listen. When instruction is given, you should be aware and prudent. All right. It says, and if thou bow down, so like you're reading back to the tree, it says, if thou love to hear, thou shalt receive understanding. All right. It says, and if thou bow down thine ear, right, means submitting yourself, thou shalt be wise. All right, because every wise person, they at one point had to be a servant. Going on 34, it says, stand in the multitude of the elders. All right, which means to stand in the multitude of the elders. These are the men that would break bread and that certain conversation, whereby they would teach, learn, which is edifying for growth. You be with the elders, on the pages where, daily edification, daily learning channel, and these are the channels, for Apostle Tahar, Apostle Ariamla, Apostle Raka, and the other elder bishops and brothers, apostles out there. They have edifying videos where we learn from, and that's from those head on down. All right. It says, Sirach chapter 6 and verse 34, stand in the multitude of elders and cleave unto him that is wise. Cleave unto this man. Advice and so on, the counsel, and they don't counsel to not, because they got a lot of people, what they do, they often ask questions and you give them the answer. But the answers, like, you don't marinate. They don't keep it to heart. They don't lay these words to heart. They forget. And hence, they don't have that building up of the character, because as soon as you say something, they dropped and lost it. All right? It says verse 35, it says, be willing to hear every godly discourse. You see? Every godly discourse, not ungodly. The godly discourse is the things, of the wise. The godly discourse, is of these scriptures, how to live according to thus says Yahawashi, and not what this world say, what this world expect, whether it be in relationship, it be in education, it be how you carry yourself, how you dress, how you speak, the things to support. You understand that the scripture's not supporting it, you're not supposed to be, dabbling in that. Nevertheless, it says, and let not the parable, right, of understanding escape thee. Exactly. When people tell you something, you play and forget. You know, the words in marinating, you're not sticking to you, you know, which is a waste of time because they ain't the words to not. Alright? It shouldn't be. It says also, and if, you know, thou seest a man of understanding, get thee betimes unto him. It says, and let thy foot wear the steps of his doors. Meaning, hey, you know, you try to do as much as you could upon this man, so you could learn, gain wisdom, you know, understanding. You understand that even though when you retain this information, you could now give to others. Alright? Last verse, verse 37, it says, let thine mind be upon the ordinance of Yahawah. It says, meditate continually in his commandment, right? He shall establish thine heart and give thee wisdom and thine own desire. You see that? Yeah, this is first and foremost to the men. This is speaking to the men. But you women, when your husband speak a thing, you know, you yourself would increase. You know, you yourself would increase. Become a better woman, better mentality. Or a woman full of virtue. Right? A virtuous woman. Because remember, the word virtue is masculine, it's of morals, you know, conduct. Right? And you could basically learn that from your husband. Right? Becoming virtuous. Alright? Yeah, man. Hey, you know, I hope this lesson was edifying to you, brothers and sisters. Right? I want to give all praises to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone. And salutations to you, brothers who's pushing the truth in the four corners, the highways and byways. Again, all praises to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Kodash. And Shalom until the next. Shalom.